Parashat Vayishlach. Parashat Vayishlach brings face to face Esav and Yaakov. It is interesting to read this parasha differently from the way most of us learnt it when we were in kindergarten. We all remember. In fact, we remember it so well that we can't even read the parasha without imagining the bully Esav coming with his great army. Yaakov petrified, worrying about the outcome of this confrontation. The meeting in which Esav rushes and embraces Yaakov to try only to bite his neck. And we all remember the midrash about Yaakov's neck stiffening and Esav's teeth breaking and Esav having to back off. If you really want to understand this parsha through a different light, all you need to do is read Rashi. Rashi takes you through a very, very different journey in which Esav, in fact, in this parasha, accepts Yaakov for who he is, accepts Yaakov's destiny as the true heir to the blessings of Abraham and the true heir to the land of Israel, and is willing to stand side by side supporting Yaakov. He in fact clearly states that he acknowledges Yaakov's right over the brachot. Read Rashi. All you need to do to be able to get a very different perspective on this unique story. I would like, however, today to address something quite different, a rather controversial issue. The parsha continues to tell us about Yaakov's escapades in the land, and we are suddenly confronted with the devastating events of his daughter being captured and raped. As a consequence, the children of Yaakov, Shimon and Levi, decide to take action. They move forward. They trick the people of Shechem into circumcising themselves, and on the third day, they go in and slaughter the entire town, saving their sister and making a loud and resounding statement. When Yaakov confronts them about their actions, it is interesting to note that the Torah leaves us pondering. Did Yaakov question the morality of their actions? Does he question the justification of their actions? The only thing we learn in this particular parsha is the pragmatics of the issue, in which Yaakov says, "Achartem oti b'yoshvei haaretz." You marked my image amongst the inhabitants of the land. They will all gather up on me and kill me now. In fact, Yaakov is merely addressing the impracticality of trying to fight against everybody. But he never addresses to Shimon and Levi the core question. Was their actions correct? Was it justified, in fact, to behave the way they did? It is true that at the end of his life, when he blesses all of his children, he has very harsh words for Shimon about his temper. But it is difficult to ascertain if he's actually addressing the justification or lack thereof of their action. This question is at the core of a central debate in our generation. We have become accustomed to a terminology all too often used in the great debate over the behavior of the Israeli army in today's day and age. The question of innocent civilians, and how we deal with such innocent civilians when we are attacked from a population, within a population, with cowardly terrorist acts. There are many different perspectives in Jewish philosophy onto how to deal with our surrounding neighbors and enemies in this particular question. I would like to introduce to you one particular perspective, not necessarily a universally accepted perspective, but nonetheless a very important one that gives us pause to wonder. The Maharal Prague addresses the Torah commandment in which we are supposed to call upon a city that is under siege for peace. So tells us the Torah in Sefer Devarim that before we are allowed to attack a neighboring nation, we must call out for them with a peace offering. Of course, the Torah is speaking specifically about the outcome of a peace offering, which basically means that if you don't want to fight against us, you may surrender and become subjugated to us. But this gives them an opportunity to either surrender or leave. This is considered to be the correct moral way for a Jew to conduct a battle. Says the Maharal Prague an interesting point. Do not think for a moment, says the Maharal, that this obligation of calling out to a peace to a neighbor in which you want to conquer applies to nations in all circumstances. This commandment, says the Maharal, only applies to a nation that did absolutely nothing to you. So why would you be attacking him? Because you have territorial interests. Because perhaps you are predicting that there will be problems there. But, says the Maharal, if we are dealing with a nation that has attacked us, or that has done something to violate the sanctity of the Jewish people, then the rules are completely different. In fact, says the Maharal, something that would be perceived as politically incorrect in the current liberal world philosophy. It is not a question if a nation came to attack us. It is also a question if an individual or a group of individuals came to harm the Jewish people. If a group of people come to harm the Jewish people in the name of their nation, then the rules are quite different. In fact, says the Maharal, there is a moral obligation, therefore, not only to respond, but rather to attack in the harshest way. And don't think for a moment, says the Maharal, that there are those amongst that nation that could stand up and say, well, we didn't do it. We are innocent civilians. Absolutely not, says the Maharal. They get caught up in the punishment of the entire nation. Says the Maharal, the message of Shimon and Levi's conduct is that when a neighboring people try to attack the sanctity, the morality, and definitely the safety of the Jewish people, there is an obligation to stand up and ask, can we stand idly by when we are being attacked? In fact, says the Maharal, we have a moral obligation to respond in the harshest way without any consideration to those members of the attacking nation that may have not participated. Because the true rules of war are that everyone gets punished by the deeds of the few when it comes to the protecting the sovereignty and safety of the Jewish people. Can we apply this to today's day and age? That's a heavy question. It is a heavy question to ponder in our understanding of the morality of war. But it also is important to ponder what is the true responsibility that we have towards our people in protecting them and saving them. Food for thought. Shabbat Shalom.